Welcome to the world of amazing discoveries of Sergey Ziegler. This material will show to you what actually happened in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, and this is my personal investigation. Let's start from geography as origin. The city of Sodom was located in the center of four other cities, namely Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Zor. Sodom was the capital, and the other cities were small and located a few kilometers from Sodom. I assume the distance based on the fact that Lot and his daughters reached Zor in the morning, leaving Sodom at dawn at 5 in the morning and walking for about an hour and a half to 2 hours until the full sunrise. At an average speed of 7 to 8 kilometers per hour, it turns out that the distance between Sodom and Zor was about 11 to 12 kilometers. I suppose the other cities were also, like Zor, equidistant from Sodom at the same distance. Now about the people who were living in these cities. All the destroyed cities were founded by Jews, descendants of Ham, the son of Noah. The book of Genesis, chapter 10, paragraphs 19 and 20, and the borders of the Canaanites were from Sidon to Ger to Goza, thence to Sodom, Gomorrah, Zor, and Zeboim to Lash. These are the sons of Ham, according to their families, according to their languages, in their lands, in their nations. That is, Jews, and no one else lived in these cities. Lot was also a Jew, but of a different branch. He was Abraham's nephew. In Sodom, he was a stranger. Genesis, chapter 19, paragraph 9. Here is a stranger, and he wants to judge. Based on the fact that his daughters were pure, Genesis, chapter 19, paragraph 8, the line "Behold, I have 2 daughters who have not known man," it means that Lot had lived in the city recently. It is worth noting that Lot was already an elderly man, not representing sexual interest for the homosexual community of Sodom. Linked to chapter 19, item 31, and the elder said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is not a man upon the earth that can come into us, after the manner of all the earth." The events of that day, or rather the evening and night, begin in the evening, when Lot meets 2 angels at the gate. Let's start with the fact that all the events of chapter 19 of the book of Genesis are known to us thanks to Lot and his daughters, because who else could have survived and told us about what happened? Therefore, perhaps the retelling of events was not so impartial. Nevertheless, in order to draw interesting conclusions, the facts presented will be enough for us. So, let's get started. What was Lot doing at the gate? Considering his age, it is unlikely that he was returning from the field where he worked all day. Besides, what is the probability of a random meeting between Lot and the angels? I suppose, minimal. Most likely, Lot either worked at the city gates or met travelers in order to let them stay overnight for a fee, and in the evening the probability of finding clients increased significantly. That is, Lot invited angels to his place not out of the simplicity of his soul, but to earn money. Other residents see angels, and most likely follow them to Lot's house. What can we say about angels? What did they look like? First, they were sexually attractive, otherwise the gaze of Sodom would not have desired them. Second, they were people of the same height and similar to people. That is, they were not dwarfs or giants, since both options significantly reduce sexual attractiveness. Next, why angels? Noah calls our Creator's fallen angels with white skin. I mentioned this in the video about Adam and Eve. Angels have kind of glowing faces because of their white skin, and their eyes are bright. So, I would guess that the angels who came to Sodom were our creators. In Genesis chapter 19 paragraph 13 it says, "For we will destroy this place, because the outcry against its inhabitants is great to the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So you understand that the fate of Sodom was predetermined in advance. The creators just wanted to look at the city before destruction, and perhaps bring out the last good people. These were the executors. And they had modern technology. They blinded a crowd of gay rapists in a matter of seconds with some kind of device, most likely a laser, reference to chapter 19.11, and they struck the people who were at the entrance of a house with blindness, both small and great, so that they were exhausted looking for the entrance. Then a very interesting dialogue takes place, which completely refutes meteors and asteroids as the cause of the destruction of cities. Namely, our creators tell Lot to go to the mountains. I will note that a mountain is a height, and according to the creators, a mountain would be completely safe for Lot and his family. If sulfur fell from the sky, the mountain would not save them from fire and sulfur. So the mountain should have saved them from the lower horizontal flows of sulfur and ash. But Lot replied that he wanted to hide in the city of Zor, although that city was closer than the mountain. And the creators say that very revealing phrase, chapter 19.21, and he said to him, "Behold, to please you I will do this also. I will not overthrow the city of which you speak." That is, the creators had absolutely complete freedom of choice to destroy any city. And so we have 4 cities, Gomorrah, Zeboim, Admah and Zor, with the capital Sodom in the center. As you see, I placed the cities in the southern part of the Dead Sea. And you ask why? The first argument. We have the end point of the vector Zor and the length of the vector. Now it remains only to find the starting point of the vector. We know the important information that Lot did not want to flee to the mountains, which means that the city of Zor was between Sodom and the mountains. And we exclude the location of Sodom on the coast, because from the coast to the mountains will be no further than to Zor. We will place a circle, on the edge of which will be the city of Zor, and at an equidistance from the edges of the circle there will be mountains. And we see that the city of Sodom could not be located on the current coast of the Dead Sea, because the distance from the coast to the mountains will be closer than to the city of Zor. As incredible as it may seem to us, the center of the circle, the location of Sodom, is located in the Dead Sea. The second argument. On ancient maps, the Dead Sea is called differently, namely, Lake Sodom. Third argument. Book of Genesis chapter 13 paragraph 10, Then Lot lifted up his eyes and saw all the plain of the Jordan, that before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, it was all watered with water, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt as far as Zor. Note the mouth of the river to the right of the Dead Sea. This river takes water out of the sea. I suppose that this was the lower level of the Dead Sea boundary at the time of Sodom and Gomorrah, and below was a fertile area called the Valley of Siddim. I have drawn an approximate view of the Valley of Siddim before these events. Of course, the Dead Sea in the south had many rivers draining it, like the Mediterranean Sea and Egypt in ancient times. Look, do you see what Africa once looked like? There were so many seas and rivers after the Great Flood. And the Dead Sea was also formed after the Great Flood. And below the Dead Sea there were also many rivers draining water from it. And between these salty rivers were our destroyed cities. I am leading all this to the fact that the Valley of Siddim was flooded. And I will tell you how this happened. But first, I will voice something that I found in the book of Genesis that no one knows about. In chapter 14.10, there's a phrase, "Now in the Valley of Siddim were many tar pits." Tar pits are nothing other than oil. And if nuclear strikes fell on cities located between rivers, then they not only formed funnels that filled with water from these rivers, but also burned the oil, forming voids that also filled with water. And the blast wave carried hot waves of ash and salt from the rivers in different directions over long distances. Now do you understand how Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt? Now look at how the Dead Sea is drying up today. Do you see the isthmus that is forming? It is also proof that below the right side mouth of the river there was no sea yet. And so in the morning 4 cities are destroyed, Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim. But Zor remains untouched, although it was located at approximately the same distance from Sodom as the other cities. If it were a meteorite or an asteroid, what are the chances that a city located in the corner of the approximate square of the circular zone of destruction of the falling asteroid would not be damaged in any way? My answer is 0. It was neither an asteroid, nor a meteorite, nor a comet. All of the above allows us to assert that Sodom, Gomorrah, and other cities were destroyed by pinpoint nuclear strikes, and they were completely flooded. But what about sulfur, you ask? After all, sulfur fell from the sky. And I will answer. Sulfur ore. There are always other minerals next to oil. That is why yellow balls of sulfur in a red ring are found in stone on the ruins of supposedly destroyed cities. This is ordinary sulfur ore that could not burn because it was in stone, but it was exposed to temperature, which is why red rings appeared. If sulfur burned and fell from the sky, it would burn completely, without a trace. And by the way, who was the first to say that fire and sulfur were falling on the city? Lot and his family were forbidden to look back. The inhabitants of Zorah? And how could they determine from 12 kilometers away that it was sulfur that was falling? The answer is, they couldn't. They could only see smoke and waves of hot ash flying in different directions. Therefore, my assumption that fire and sulfur from the sky is just such a biblical turn of phrase. Besides, how many tons of pure sulfur in balls do you think our creators would have needed to destroy Sodom and other cities? And this sulfur would have to be set on fire during the fall. Not every magician is capable of that. No, I'm sure it was a nuclear weapon. The only thing I'm not sure about is the reason for the destruction of Sodom. Were our creators really so interested in eugenics that only the righteous and heterosexuals would remain on Earth? What do you think about this? Yes, I also wanted to say about another city that scientists found northeast of the Dead Sea and decided that it was Sodom, since, judging by the ruins, it was also destroyed by nuclear weapons. I think they found the city of Lasha, which was mentioned at the beginning of the video. And by the way, given the distance of 100 kilometers between Sodom and Lasha, you can safely forget about the asteroid version. I believe that in fact there were more destroyed cities. There are dozens of them on our planet, and these are only the ones we know about, including Mahajodro, Sykesayam, Lasha, and many others. I believe that our creators at some point wanted to destroy humanity. Perhaps they suffered from nervous system exhaustion due to a decrease in atmospheric density after the planetary catastrophe described by me in the book Connecting Points. This catastrophe caused not only a decrease in life expectancy and growth of the inhabitants of our planet, but also brought diseases, including diseases of the nervous system, as a result of which the level of aggression and the desire for violence increased. Judge for yourself. Since the catastrophe in the chronology of mankind, there have been only wars. In this video, I want to call on my viewers and all mankind to take care of the planet and green forests. Grow trees. Take care of nature, and someday the atmosphere of our planet will be restored and we will be able, as before, to live for thousands of years. Finally, I would like to present to your attention some of my projects that you may find interesting. The first project is planetstudy.net. Teachers and students find each other online with only 4% of the system's commission. The second project, neuronmemory.com, is recreating your neural memory online with the addition of neurons, associative connections, and convenient search by neurons. The third project, success, trenica.com, is a unique technique based on changing the internal attitude, subconscious influence, and attraction of luck when solving game tasks. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.